Oh my gosh. I don't know why everything's being so difficult. Let's add color correction. Again, too much. Hold on. All my hotkeys. Whoa. Why did that happen? Something's not right. Help. What's going on? Why does it shrink me like that? Oh, goodness gracious. Help. I'm invisible. Bottom. Help. I can't see myself. Sources. Why is my camera... Help. How do I do this? What does that mean? Why am I so small? Whoa. Oh, that's been so glitchy all of a sudden. There I is. Okay. Cool. How do I do? this into a morphing transition.
It's bad enough that John Huston
Shut up.
voted to kick Ohio.
I'm going to show you how to do these super duper slick advanced OBS move transitions. It goes without saying that I will be expecting at least a basic understanding of the OBS move plugin. This is part 4 of a series, so if you haven't watched the first 3 episodes, check out the playlist up here. Whole playlist, make sure to go watch all 3 of those videos. And once you've done that, then you can prepare your anuses because you're about to hate me in the next 5 minutes. Okay, so here's what we're working with. So we've got 3 scenes here. So if you're brand new to OBS,
If you live in an older home that has an old heating system and that does not have central air conditioning, we have the perfect.
yeah, so this is probably the most over-the-top great animations I've ever created. If you've ever watched my Twitch streams, you might have seen it before. I have a bunch of these little animations that play whenever I get subs or donations that have my viewers' profile pictures in them, and the profile picture moves along with the video. I call these ones ban animations because they automatically run whenever I ban someone in chat. And I get a lot of questions asking how I do these animations. Ain't no fucking way I'm gonna be able to explain it in one video. Are you crazy? So that's why I started the OBS Move Plugin Masterclass. This is part 2 of the series. If you missed the first video, I've already showed you how to install the plugin and create these simple scene transitions where your sources morph between scenes. It was really cool, but I want to go a little bit deeper. So today I want to show you how to slide sources around the screen, like your webcam, images, videos, and move them from position to position so that you can make your own animations of your own. I'll be putting all these videos into a playlist, by the way, so check the link down below for that. And also so you don't miss any more videos in this series. Sorry, I gotta tell you to do that because I'm a YouTuber and that's just what we do. Big shout out to this week's sponsor, VIPS Keys. If you guys have been looking for a Windows 11 license, stop paying full price. You can get a Windows 11 Pro license for as little as $21. Just use my code NUTTY at checkout to get 30% off. And hey, Windows 11, you can get Windows 10 keys for $15, and those keys can be upgraded to Windows 11 for free, so you can save a little bit more money. You can use a secure payment method like PayPal. Don't worry, you're not gonna get scammed. I've used it all the time. Then they'll send you an activation code. You put that into your Windows settings, and you're good to go. No more cringe war. Check out VIPS Keys in the link down below and save yourself some money instead of giving it to greedy corporate Microsoft. Before we progress to the really advanced stuff, let's start really basic. So say we've got a scene here that has a webcam, and we want to smoothly move our webcam into different positions on the screen. The fundamental piece of every single animation you do in OBS are these things called move source filters. Let me show you what I mean. So if you right-click the scene that you want to work on and go into filters, I've added a few example move source filters so you can see how they work. And you'll notice that in OBS are these things called move source filters. Let me show you what I mean. So if you right-click the scene that you want to work on and go into filters, I've added a
There they are.
few example move source filters so you can see how they work. And you'll notice that whenever I toggle one of these move source filters on, it snaps the webcam into predefined positions on the screen. So if you want to do any sort of movement, you just have to add a new move source filter to this filters menu. Keep in mind, you want to add the filter to the scene and not the source. I know it's tempting to right-click on the source and go to filter, but you'll notice that if you add a move source filter here, it will say it only works with scene. So you need to add the filter to the scene and not to the source. I'll remove all these filters so we can start from scratch. So let's say we want to do a really basic animation that simply snaps our webcam right back into the center of the screen. So all we need to do is right-click on the scene, go to filters, click the plus, and add a new move source filter. And then underneath source, select our webcam. And now you'll notice, wherever we move our webcam, if we just turn that filter back on, it snaps the webcam right into that position. And we can add as many of these move source filters as we want. So let's say we want to set up a second position where our camera is right back here during like gameplay or whatever. We just move our camera there, add another move source, select our webcam again, and now if we toggle between these two sources, or these two move sources, it snaps the camera back and forth between those two positions. This can be really practical because say you're playing like a game or something and you want to zoom in temporarily on your camera to show someone your Yu-Gi-Oh card collection. You can just click on this filter here and it will focus in on your camera, and then you can click the second filter to zoom back out. By the way, if you want to update the position of one of those move source filters, what you can do is just move the camera into a new position. You can either rotate it and crop it in with the Alt key, and then once you have it in the position that you like, just click on Get Transform and it will update that move source filter to that new position. So now if we switch between these two different positions, you can see it has that new position that we just made. Now you probably don't want to have to keep going back into the filter.
That's good to know. I'm backwards. Test. fixed. I think I fixed it. my keys.
transform, and we'll update that new source filter to that new position. So now if we switch between these two different positions, you can see it has that new position that we just made. Now you probably don't want to have to keep going back into the filter menu and manually clicking on these blue value filters because that's really inconvenient. So you can go into your OBS settings and go to hotkeys. There should be 2 extra options for setting hotkeys for each of these move source filters. Or if you have a stream deck, you can just set up buttons on your stream deck to turn these filters on. And so that way you have a really convenient way to snap your camera into different positions on the screen right at your fingertips. Because with the stream deck, you can add as many of these buttons as you want. Now I think these movements are a little too fast for my liking. The good thing is you can set custom durations for each movement. So I like to set them to around 1 second. And now the animations are a lot slower and more controlled, which I think looks a lot better. You can also turn off the custom duration. So when you turn the setting off, it will use whatever duration you set to your scene transitions off. So whatever number you have here, it's going to use that number instead. And you can also set the duration to 0 if you want to do these kind of instant movements where it just snaps with no animation in between. So now that you know how these move source filters work, if you want to make your own animations, all you have to do is create a massive ass ton of these move source filters and then chain them all together so that it looks like a scene animation. The good thing is the move plugin makes it really easy to chain different move source filters together to create an animation, which I know sounds really confusing. So just let me show you what I mean. So I've added a few different move source filters to move our camera into different corners of the screen. And if I wanted to create an animation that does that automatically, so I don't have to manually click one at a time, what you can do is you can link step 2 into step 3 and then into step 4 and into step 5. So it does it all in one movement. So if I click on step 2 and scroll all the way to the bottom, you can set your next move here to be another move source filter. So if I set the next move to be step 3, you'll notice that when I turn on step 2, it will automatically go to step 3 without me having to open it. So you can see where this goes, right? So if I want to go from step 3 to step 4, I go to step 3 now, and I set the next move for that to step 4, and then go to step 4, set the next move for that to step 5. So now if I want to do our complete animation, instead of having to click each of these filters on and off one at a time, I just have to turn on step 2 once, and it does our complete animation. Do it again. Really simple. You can also set it to reverse a movement. So let's say that first example that moved our camera to the center of the screen. What we can do is we can set the next move for that one to be reverse. And so now whenever we turn that first filter on, it's going to move to the center and then move back to where the camera was originally. And you can set up 2 different move source filters to trigger at the exact same time. This is really useful if you want to have 2 different objects moving at the same time. So let me show you an example of that. So I have one filter here that has this picture of a me running across the bottom of the screen. And then I have another filter here that has my camera sliding along the bottom of the screen. And I want to create an animation where my face is like chasing after Luigi. And what I can do is I can have each of these 2 steps linked together. So if I click on that Luigi step here and scroll all the way to the bottom, I can make it so that whenever I trigger this move source filter, we can set a simultaneous move so that it also turn on that Luigi filter, they both move at the exact same time. That's not exactly what I want because I want my face to be trailing behind Luigi. So what I can do is I can go into that face filter here, and then we can add a little bit of a start delay. So I'll add a delay of like maybe like half a second here. And so now whenever I trigger the Luigi filter, it's gonna wait half a second before it triggers that second filter here. So if I run it again, now my face is slightly behind Luigi. Now one extra thing I can change about the movement as well is you can see how it starts off slow and then speeds up in the middle. I don't really like that. So what we can do here is we can go to each of these move source filters and change the easing here, and I can remove the easing. So it's just a straight linear movement. We'll do the same thing with that face filter here. Now if we run the animation again, it's just a straight movement. So yeah, these have all been really stupid examples. I don't really know if any of this has made sense to you guys. You awake still there? Pay attention to me. Okay? Did anything I said make any sense so far? Just as a thank you for sitting through this ultra short video, I want to walk you through some of the real examples that I actually use in my stream. So this is the animation that plays every time I ban someone on my stream. And you can see it actually working in real time. So as we play the animation, you can see each of the filters turning themselves on and off, and this is all automated within OBS. And you can see, even though this is a really simple animation, I had to add 9 different move source filters just to track the face of the dude as he gets kicked into the hole. I've never watched this movie before, so I don't know what the scene is. And each of these move source filters is simply moving that profile picture into specific positions on the screen with really specific timings. So it really just comes down to making sure you get each of these timings and duration perfect to create that perfect animation. It takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, but it's super worth it at the end of the day. But if I look at that stuff right at the very end, I'm going to show some ultra specific features that can really help you out if you're trying to do these advanced animations. So you can see at the very start I added this start trigger. This is just a normal move source value filter that's moving our video file. So this is part of video file, but it's not actually moving it at all. If you look at the transform here, I've actually turned the transform off. This filter actually does absolutely nothing. All it does is it serves as a trigger point to actually start our whole animation. So at the bottom I've set the next move to actually move the profile picture, but the important thing is this start trigger here. So I changed the start trigger from none to media started. And so what this does is as soon as we start playing the media file inside of OBS, it kicks off the whole animation. So everything is automated. So if I play the video in OBS, the whole thing starts. But there are other steps involved, like how do you automatically grab your viewers' profile pictures and put that in OBS, or how do you make this animation automatically play when you ban people. But that's more of a streamer blog question, and I want the series to be primarily focused on using the Move plugin. But at least you guys know how to move sources around and create your own animations. Guys, I don't know what I'm going to call this video. Can you just tell your friends about me? Tell your parents, tell your coworkers, tell your parole officer. I don't care who it is. Anyway, come back for part 3 where I'll show you guys how to animate any filter you want inside of OBS. See you guys in 5 minutes because I'm literally gonna go. So by now you're probably aware of all the OBS filters you can add to your stream to do all sorts of things. I talk about this all the time. I think I know why. This is all I do. It's so easy to do things like add rounded corners to your camera, adding blur filters, 3D effects, shaders. But with all these filters, they're either on or they're off. And that's kind of boring. So what if you could smoothly transition those filters? Like instead of just turning on and off a blur filter, what if you could take your camera from being clear and slowly bring in that blur? Or transition your camera from being flat and 2D and smoothly rotating it in 3D space? Or just animate any wacky filter you can think of, and then maybe turn into channel point rewards for your viewers later because reviewers are like little iPad babies or you gotta give them some sort of stimulation, you know? I'm gonna show you how to do exactly that in this week's edition of the OBS Move plugin masterclass. This is part 3 of the masterclass. If you haven't watched part 1 and 2, in part 1 I show you how to install the plugin and do these smooth transitions. Part 2 I show you how to start doing some basic animations. So go watch those if you haven't seen them because you're gonna want to know how to do that stuff before you do this. And also check the playlist down below because if you're watching this video like 200 years from now, there's probably way more videos down here. Maybe there's still only 3 because I died. Rip me. Before we get started, if you guys are looking to build your first streaming PC, our sponsor, VIP SDK Keys, has got you covered. If you need a Windows 11 license, you can get them for as low as $21. Just make sure you use my code NUTTY at checkout to get it for that price. And if you think Windows 11 is great, you can get Windows 10 keys for as low as $15, and those can be upgraded to Windows 11 for free anyway. You can save a little bit more money. Make sure you use a secure payment method like PayPal. They'll send you over an activation code. Go to your Windows settings, put that in, and then you activate it. You're good to go. Check them out in the link down below. And thanks again, VIP SDK Keys, for sponsoring this video.
I am creating the miracle of miniaturization.
I'm not trying to smolder. I'm fixing my... Like, the way it looks on here looks completely different on the phone. Like, I'm watching my live stream. Look how, like, weird that looks on this screen. Like, how grainy and everything it looks. Then versus on my phone. It looks completely different. Yeah. Can you see? Like, I look grainy and I look weird on that screen. 'Cause these screens are old. But on my camera, on my phone screen, I look pretty crisp. But I still look red for some reason. So I wonder if I do. If I go into here, I go into color. If I go color full range, does that change anything? Whoa! Really brightens me up. Maybe I don't need the gamma up so high then. No, I still kind of need the gamma up. Still red for some reason. Color space.
It's bad enough that John Husted
When recess is your favorite subject, you need clothes.
So it doesn't matter what kind of webcam you have. I'm going to be using today a webcam that is under $50. It's going to work just fine. Now, it's not going to give you quality like the camera that I got right here. What you see here is a $2,000 camera that I'm utilizing. But if you utilize 3 settings, it is going to improve the image quality. So let's take a look at this. This is going to be the default image that comes out of the webcam that I have here. Again, it's not a bad image, but we can make it better to be able to create a better experience. Again, as the smaller this image gets, the less you notice the little details and quality. But if you're trying to use it at a big scale like this, if you're doing it just chatting, you want to make sure this is going to be clear. So we're going to just apply 3 settings that can be utilized across the board to make this look better. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to come here to where your webcam is. You're going to right click on it, and we're going to start with the properties. This is the first thing you want to be able to adjust. So as you come down here, you have 2 options. A lot of times the webcam you're utilizing gives you a resolution or FPS type. If you can set this to custom, that's going to be great, and then you can come here and put it at 1920 by 1080. That's already going to give you a better image quality.
then smoothly animate it. So I'll show you what I mean by that. So we're gonna go to move value here, and then we're gonna choose another filter. So in this case, we're gonna choose the composite blur filter, and then we're gonna choose a setting. So it's going to list all the different settings for whatever filter that is. In this case, there's a blur radius slider, and we're going to choose the blur radius option here. Now, you'll see that it automatically sets to 69. So if I was to change this value to 0, and then go back to the move value filter, and turn it on, you see how it slowly brings it in now? Now watch, if we change the duration to, let's just say 3 seconds, you'll see it even better. So put this back at 0, and then turn the move value filter on, slowly brings it in. How cool is that? And notice how the filter turns itself off automatically as well. So if I bring it to 0 again, and then turn the move value filter on, it's going to slowly turn it to the value that we set, and then it automatically turns itself off. So all you need to do to animate a filter is just turn the filter on. You don't have to worry about turning it off. So if we wanted to bring that value back to 0 again, we just need to create another move value filter. So add a second move value, select the composite blur filter, set the blur radius, and then this time we'll set it to 0. So if we want to turn the blur off, we can just turn on that second filter, and then it brings it on.
Janie. Can you tell me when this looks good? Like I'm going to mess up. Like, do I need to go? That too big? Because it starts to mess with my shoulders. Okay. Okay, and then the magnitude. I'm streaming this. No one's watching this. Hi. Hi. I have an idea. I have a cold. Okay, that one's good.
To let's just say 3 seconds, you'll see it even better. So put this back at 0, and then turn the move value. And what this filter does is you can basically take any slider for any filter you want, and then smoothly animate it. So I'll show you what I mean by that. So we're gonna go to 70 for you. Let's go. No, let's choose 69 because that's a cool number. Okay. And notice when I turn on and off the filter, it just does this harsh cutoff, and I don't really like that. So to smooth that out, we're gonna add another filter. This time we're gonna choose move value. And what this filter does is you can basically take any slider for any filter you want, and then smoothly animate it. So I'll show you what I mean by that. So we're gonna go to move value here, and then we're gonna choose another filter. So in this case, we're gonna choose the composite blur filter, and then we're gonna choose a setting. So it's gonna list all the different settings for whatever filter that is. In this case, there's a blur radius slider, and we're gonna choose the blur radius option here. And now you'll see that it automatically sets it to 69. So if I was to change this value to 0, and then go back to the move value filter and turn it on, you see how it slowly brings it in now? Now watch, if we change the duration to, let's just say 3 seconds, you'll see it even better. So put this back at 0, and then turn the move value filter on, slowly brings it in. How cool is that? And notice how the filter turns itself off automatically as well. So if I bring it to 0 again, and then turn the move value filter on, it's gonna slowly turn it to the value. We set, and then it automatically turns itself off. So all you need to do to animate a filter is just turn the filter on. You don't have to worry about turning it off. So if we wanted to bring that value back to 0 again, we just need properties. For example, if I add a 3D effect filter, it has multiple sliders, so we can rotate around the x-axis, the y-axis, the z-axis, maybe change the field of view. But if I intend to add another move value filter here, and then we're going to select 3D effect, I can only select one of these sliders at a time. Well, to get around that, you just change the move value type to settings instead of single setting. And now you have access to all the filters, so just click again. And that will get the current values for the 3D effect. And if we go in here and then change these to something else entirely, and then click on that move value filter here, it smoothly animates it. Let's just add a second one so you can.
See how fast that it does this? Should I slow it down so it happens slower? Or is faster better?
Fast.
Oh. Oh.
Fast.
Well, I can make it instantaneous, but I'm trying to make it like my head grows. Like a shh. You mean actually, this is the filter. This is what I without the filter. Alright, let's see if I fixed this. Yes. Except that's not working. Uh-oh. Oh, that's because I misnamed it. Not Jelix head big off. Jelix big head off. And that should fix it. There we go. So I need to add user-defined shader. Jelix. trying to make it look like I'm seeing the heavenly light. Is this too much? Oh. Excuse me.